Well, welcome back to the Party Room Film Festival podcast. I'm your host, Cody. I'm here today with Aaron, whom I didn't surprise, but it's getting late in the season, and sometimes it's easier to just call people, I've discovered. So,
yes.
Yeah. So, how are you doing today?
I'm actually doing really good. How are you?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day out here in Indiana.
On my back deck, and don't mind knowing.
Yeah, where 2 or 3 of your films have been shot on this deck.
Oh yeah, you're totally right. 2, How to Find Food in the Wild, and then I did shoot a scene, I think, for
That Dog. Yep. So, as you know, the first question I've been going into a little bit with people this year is, what are you doing now, and what do you like about it? And kind of walk me through that. I know you're working on a documentary.
Yes. So I work for Indiana Donor Network.
Okay.
And so we are the organ procurement organization in the state of Indiana.
Okay.
For most of our counties, all but 3. So it's like 96 counties.
Yeah.
And so what that means is we facilitate and procure obtaining the organs when someone dies as an organ donor.
Okay.
And get them to the correct hospital, either in Indiana or
through the network.
Sometimes it's other states. And so my main job is to get people to say yes to organ donation.
Gotcha. Okay.
License.
Yep.
And so we do that through television commercials, social media, and just these random campaigns that I've done in the past.
Awesome. Cool. So most you work as, what is your role title basically? Are you just video, or do you do more than just video work?
Yeah, so I'm creative lead of videography and photography.
Okay.
I do photography as well. I will say it's probably 70-75% video.
Yeah.
20-25% photography.
Yeah, cool. And then you I'm assuming you provide photography for the designers that are on your team to create website, programmatics, etc.
We have graphic designers, and so they use a lot of my stuff for the annual report, that kind of thing, for the website.
Yeah.
We actually have 3 or 4 charter jets that fly the organs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we have TX jet, and so we have whole division, plane photography and that kind of thing. And we also do a lot in the racing world because we sponsor some race cars.
Cool.
With organ donation.
Yeah.
To say yes.
That makes perfect sense. So tell me a little bit about the documentary you're working on.
Yeah, so Driven to Save Lives, which is our division or a program we basically travel to racetracks, specifically. It started out like Indy 500, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's more like dirt tracks, like dirt racing.
Okay.
Racing. Interesting. I had no idea what midget racing was.
Yeah, that sounds like it's probably offensive, but.
Right. And so when I first heard it, I was like, midget racing. Okay. But it's actually just kind of like a compact, think of like a glorified like go-kart kind of type.
Okay, yeah.
They're pretty fast too. They're fast and they're on dirt, in these like little oval tracks.
Okay, are those the ones that I've seen that have like the funky, non-symmetrical like fins on the top?
Yeah, that's those aren't that exactly, but what you're referring to is a winged sprint car.
Okay.
And we just started getting into a winged sprint car.
Okay.
I'm learning all about this. I had no idea what this was. But we do a lot there, and so what we'll do is we'll go to these racetracks. We'll set up tents and sign up people literally on iPads on site to be organ donors.
That's awesome.
Only like a lot of people support organ donation, but only like 60% actually are organ donors.
Yeah.
And the demographic of a lot of people who would attend these races kind of matches up with racing. So who we're trying to reach, who has traditionally said no, matches up with racing. So my documentary is about Brian Clausen, who's a race car driver from Indiana. He rose to fame. He was in 3 Indy 500s, but he tragically died in a racing accident.
Yeah.
He donated his organs, and it's about him starting this movement, which is Driven to Save Lives.
Yeah.
So the documentary is a 90-minute film. It's spent the last 10 months making it, and it's kind of starts with his journey, but then what it has grown into today. So we follow someone who's currently waiting for a kidney.
Okay.
I film him on dialysis.
Yeah.
What's that like? Someone who's received a liver, I follow her as she's writing a letter to her donor hero.
Yeah.
Their family. I film a recipient meeting the family for the first time. And it's all through the lens of racing, which is really cool.
Yeah. Because
recently I learned this term, Pope in the Pool. Have you heard that?
I've not.
And it's a movie, the Plot to Kill the Pope, I think is what it's called. The Plot to Kill the Pope. They deliver this like vital information of the film over the scene where the Pope is like in a Speedo swimming in the Vatican pool.
Okay.
And it's to visually keep your interest while telling you pertinent pieces of information.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the idea behind that film technique. And I feel like my documentary is like that.
Yeah.
Because we're not shoving hospital footage.
It's not all downer footage.
Yes.
It's something that can keep it interesting and light while presenting what is realistically can be a very heavy topic.
Right, exactly. So when I started it, I said, this needs to be educational, but also our ultimate goal is to get it picked up by some sort of streaming service. And I want this to be entertaining.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, I want people to watch this and enjoy what they're watching.
Yeah.
Or at least enjoy the process of learning.
Yeah. Like maybe not like, oh, I'm happy to be watching this movie about
right.
organ donation and someone who passed away and stuff like that. But like, I mean, a lot of documentary, like the best documentaries that deal with heavy topics are also very entertaining and at least engaging.
Right.
And so that makes a lot of sense then to use the racing aspect as a through line to carry through the story and I mean, honestly, I'm sure you've got some amazing footage of cars and race and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's very human interest. We basically have next to no shots of what you think would be in an organ donation documentary.
Yeah.
Like inside of hospitals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't have much of that at all. It's mostly inside homes, inside race tracks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and also, a traditional 90-minute documentary might have something like, I looked it up, like 700 or 800 shots.
We might want to pause.
Okay.
Because I can't tell if we're very much above the noise floor or not. I think if he gets past us, we'll be okay.
One of their guys, probably not him, it was his first day on the job, not to call it this company, Green Touch Lawn Care, out of Fishers, Indiana.
Yeah.
This dude's first day on the job is he didn't know how to operate the lawnmower, and he ran it into the side of my wife's car.
Oh no.
He put a giant dent in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's rough. I had, on my first day of working at a park and mowing campgrounds, I nearly rode like a zero-turn mower like into a ravine.
Oh gosh.
But it got stuck, but I couldn't like revert. Like it was too slick. I was too stuck to get reverse, but like I couldn't get off of it because my weight was like balancing the back end that was still stable. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately we had to get another person who was mowing like in the same area as me and like a ratchet strap and like to tow me back like off of like the precipice. But it was wild, yeah. It's rough. Mowers can be dangerous. Who'd have thought?
Think of a giant dents in
your property.
On your car.
Yeah.
Cause a lot of damage.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good to pick back up again. Where were we? We were talking about it's very human interest, and there's not a lot of like hospital footage stuff like that you might consider.
Really, the last thing that I'll add to it is just a traditional 90-minute documentary is something like 600 to 800 shots.
Yeah.
And my documentary is over 1,200.
Holy cow.
So it moves very fast.
Yeah.
Because it was made with the TikTok generation in mind.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah. And the entire documentary is also probably at a 3rd or 4th grade reading level. Very simplistic.
Yeah, very easy to.
I cut out all the medical stuff. I want the average person to
really be able to understand what they're.
Understand it fully.
Yeah.
To me, there's nothing better than watching a film and understanding what's happening fully. Mm-hmm. I get so frustrated when I'm watching something. I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. So that was important to me.
When's the last time you had that feeling in a movie?
Probably. I haven't watched Dune Part 2, but like maybe Dune 1.
Okay. I can 100% understand that. Before I watched Dune Part 1, I literally just read the book.
Okay.
And it is a complex world system that they're dealing with. And I was really curious how they would handle it in the movie. And basically they're just like, screw it. We're not telling you anything. You just
that works.
This is just how it's going to be. You're going to have to read into it as you watch it. And I was like, okay. And so my wife, Heather, was watching it and she was like, what is going on? And I was like every once in a while we would pause it and we're like, okay, this makes sense because of these things, because of the context of the book. She's like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And then we would keep going.
It's like one of those you can just Google.
Yeah.
So I in my film, I don't say everything about organ donation. Honestly, the film is designed, when you finish watching it, you should want to research some stuff on your own.
That's good. That's awesome.
I don't answer all the questions.
That's fine. You don't necessarily have to, especially if it's not necessary for the story that you're trying to tell,
right?
And the concept that you're trying to get across. So that's really cool.
I think it's coming back.
Yep. We'll have to pause for a second.
I also saw your potato.
Yeah.
20-minute film. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Good.
It's really well made, man.
Good. Were you able to understand it as a non-potato farmer and non-farmer in general?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
And I was telling someone about your film actually. I said, I love video. I was like,
I love it too.
I'm biased, but I said, you know why? I said, I just watched my friend's film, and I said, we were at lunch, and I said, it makes me, that film about potatoes, where I don't get up each day thinking about potatoes.
No.
But seeing the soil and the way they treated the bugs, and then like everything, the irrigation that goes into it. I said, it made me want to buy those potatoes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, see the power of film is not knowing I was gonna wake up that day watching a video on potatoes, but then being like, hey, next time we go to the store and buy potatoes, I want to buy them because I like that family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that came through.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect because I mean, this piece was not intended to be like it's not a marketing piece. It's not a sales piece for them to sell more potatoes.
Right.
It really was a like their goal behind it was more because they get pressure from their suppliers. So like they sell to people like Walmart and Costco, stuff like that. Their goal was to like have something that they could share these with their suppliers and be like, hey, like you don't know what goes into this, and so you guys have all these. Like Walmart will have these like initiatives to be more eco-friendly or more like natural with their like produce or something like that. And so like the farm wanted something that was like, hey, like I want to be able to educate them a little bit about like what actually does happen to actually get these potatoes into your warehouse and for you guys to be able to sell them. And so it's not really like it may end up being that okay, now these suppliers want to buy their potatoes first. That'd be a happy accident, a happy byproduct. But you're actually not the first person who said that when I shared that. Like my wife said that, and someone else, I can't remember who it was that I shared that with, just was like, yeah, no, I want to buy those potatoes because like that's amazing. And really like a lot of it too was like an educational piece for something that I work with my dad a lot, and something he's very passionate about is kind of bridging the gap between like what actually goes on in agriculture and the people who consume it.
Right.
Because obviously, like, most of the world is not farmers.
Right. Who
But
knows where the food comes from?
exactly. But so, like, literally everyone on the planet relies on farmers to some extent for nutrition. And so, like, helping people understand, like, okay, what does it take, and what does organic really mean? What does it mean, like, when we're trying to do more for the environment and stuff like that? And there's a lot of misunderstandings out there, and some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with, and all kinds of things. But that's the whole thing. But thanks. I'm glad that you enjoyed that.
Yeah, good shots, dude. Really pretty shots.
So much fun. We will absolutely see how much of this is usable at the end of this. Hopefully they'll be done soon and we can get into the nitty-gritty of the party room side of things.
I mean, how many times has it been over?
I don't know. I feel like it's a small area that's not got a lot of grass on it, and you probably got it all cut already.
I also never go down there because it's like
kind of steep.
it's just steep.
Yeah.
I'll throw in the fall, if I have a pumpkin, I'll throw it in those woods. It's rotting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good for that.
That's about throw pumpkins on it.
All right, we'll see how we can go on, or if he's going to just come back this way right away. So, well, that's really cool that you get to work with in that and literally, like, I mean, help support people who save lives.
Yeah.
I'm sure too that that's kind of can be heavy at times. So how is that in dealing with something like that?
Yeah, it can be, for sure. I try to, I mean, for one, I try to live a very simple life. Like,
Yeah.
recently, honestly, I haven't really been doing much freelance
Okay.
because, like you said, like, the documentary was intense and some of the situations were intense, and then some of the other films I make can be fairly intense, life and death situations.
Yeah.
So for one, I try to limit a little bit what I do creatively
Okay.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Because I think if I spread myself too thin, I'm just going to get completely burnt out.
Yeah.
Especially with dealing with such heavy subject matter.
That makes perfect sense.
But then also, just taking it, I just try to remind myself, like, I'm just trying. I'm one guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just trying the best I can.
Just a little guy.
I'm just trying the best I can with these situations, and like, whenever I hear a story, like someone had watched my video, a video I had made a while back, and said, hey, they were on the fence about if their loved one should be an organ donor.
Oh yeah.
They watched the video, and they kind of changed the maybe to a yes.
Okay.
And it wasn't because of my video. Like, I mean,
No.
any videographer probably could have gotten that message across. I don't think I did anything special, but to be part of that made me really happy. So I try to focus on those moments.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, regardless of what you're doing, I mean, being creative can be a very exhausting thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think any of us who work in video production or art of any kind, like, can resist putting a lot of ourselves in what we do, even some of the simple stuff, and so that can be draining. So I definitely understand that, and especially dealing with heavier topics can be a lot. So good on you for figuring out how to manage yourself and manage your creativity so that you can
Yeah, thanks, man.
keep burning strong and not burning out.
Yep.
Because that's really easy to do. I mean, I've known so many people who have just gotten burned out and not been able to keep working forward.
Yeah, and I also want to focus some creative energy towards what do I want to make.
Yeah.
I made this documentary. I don't know if I'm going to make another one for a while, because let me tell you, making a 90-minute film, I mean, you know,
I mean, just 20 minutes, and that was the hardest thing that I've made.
And not just 90 minutes, but like, you know, like impactful, each minute matters, meaningful 90-minute stuff is so hard. It was such a challenge for me. Like, I got done and I'm like, I am not going to make one of those for at least 3 more years.
Yeah.
Because I can't. But I would love to explore, I don't know, maybe some like other stuff, like some narrative stuff or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, with a couple guys, as I've jumped around, I think talking to Zach last, he was talking about the idea of maybe like in an off season sometime we should, as a group, work on a short film.
That would be awesome.
Like just collectively work on, like take a week, maybe after the festival, like in the late summer, and like shoot and create something as a group that's just a short film that we were like, hey, let's just do this together, as opposed to everybody doing their own thing, which is a lot of fun, and we love Party Room, but like something to kind of combine our creative abilities.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I'd be down for that.
Do it. Zach, you lead that.
Yep. The idea too was a funny idea that we had was Trevor's the director, but and then everybody else uses their actual video talents to make Trevor's vision come to life. But that. He's got the vision. He moves the vision forward.
Well, I also fully support his idea that he said on his podcast of him writing out 14 ideas during the year, and we each get assigned one.
Yes.
I would love that. Anything that makes Party Room more chaotic, I'm all about.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, let's get back into it. Today is May 30th.
Yes.
I'm running behind on the podcast, as everybody's aware, and everybody's ragging me about it pretty much every day, and that's fine. I'll get them out. They'll all be done before the party for the festival. And tomorrow the rules drop.
Yes. I'm excited.
So, what are your predictions for this year?
This is funny because like they're probably gonna be watching this. Like we all know what is happening.
Yeah, by the time everybody's watching this, we're all gonna know what's going on.
I don't know. So I appreciate the council's effort to make it something different each year.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I loved the theme of last year of the anime, the tropes. I thought that was great. I guess my prediction. I don't know. I could see us revisiting genres, maybe. I don't know. Is that too dialed in?
No, I think that could be a thing. I was talking with Sam the other day in the Discord chat. The idea of like maybe taking things like giving a scenario or like an idea of like a film, like and then having to adapt it. Like if we're doing pairings, one person has to adapt this idea into a romance. This person has to adapt this idea into a horror movie. And so like the concept, like or maybe like the inciting incident is the same, but in a different genre.
I like that.
Or taking something, or I mean, you could even go further and make it take Wet and make it a comedy.
Yeah.
Take.
Is it not already a comedy?
I guess it is. Or make it a romance.
Make it a romance. Yeah.
Take Wet and make it a romance.
Zach's character has to
make love to the alien. But I don't know, something like that could be kind of fun. I also like Trevor's idea of Trevor comes up with all the ideas and they just get tossed into a hat. And Trevor, the thing is, we have to give Trevor, I think, a straight man like scenario, so because otherwise he's an advantage because it's his idea.
That is true.
So Andrew has to give him just like a straight, like very, I don't know.
Although, do you think Trevor will remember all his ideas? Like that's what we're banking on.
No, that's what it has to be. He has to text them to Andrew anytime he has an idea and then delete the text message. So he'll never remember what all the ideas.
On Trevor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
No, that'd be fun. I wouldn't remember the ideas now.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the rules to drop. I'm excited for doing this it's my 4th year. Yeah. But 5th year.
5th year of Party Room, 4th year for you. Which means you and I have the same number of films. Because I'm still behind by one.
You ever going to make that up?
I'm hoping to at some point. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it this year. I have a very busy year right now, but I mean, when is it not busy? But Heather's going to Paris this year, so
cool.
for the Olympics, yeah. So that's going to be busy, and then my parents are throwing a big party at the end of August because it's simultaneously like this year is their 40th wedding anniversary and their 70th birthdays. So we're throwing a big family party at their farm in Ohio, and then I've got lots of work things to do and trying to do all kinds of things on top of Party Room. So
yeah, it's always a challenge.
Yep.
Juggling 30 things,
Yep. I do love Party Room though for I mean, and like you, I work in video production constantly, and doing something that's like, okay, I don't have to run this by anybody. I don't have to adapt this for
True.
like any other audience but what I want to make and what the guys are going to laugh at or find interesting.
Yeah, that's why I purposely like haven't traditionally used like mics in my film, lighting, like just take out my cell phone and just start recording. I mean, I'll write a script like on the notes app on my phone.
Yeah.
How to Find Food in the Wild, I wrote like an actual script most of the time. But like last year I just like scribbled it down. But everything I do for like a solidified like video production shoot, I'm like gonna do the opposite.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I do it every day.
Yeah. So, walk me through a little bit about the inspiration behind your film from last year, Rotten Roommate, Bad Dog.
Yeah, so I had no intention of doing a sequel to Rotten Roommate. For all purposes, I thought I died in Rotten Roommate.
Yeah.
That was the plan. But it's kind of, I guess for me, I think it was like a similar thing. It was like the day before, it was like a year ago today, honestly. It was like the day before the rules dropped, so I had not known the rules yet. Yeah. And I was like, oh, the rule, I was telling my wife and Caitlin, I was like, you know, the rules drop tomorrow, and I think she's the one that brought up like, hey, like, what do you think like a sequel to Rotten Roommate? I was like, I don't know if that'll line with the rules, but that's, you know, what would it even be of? I was like, how did it end? I died. Yeah. And so then I started like, I took out the notes app on my phone, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, I mean, I guess I could like, maybe it like opens with me in the hospital or something. The classic, like, so that's when I started like thinking through, what would that actually look like? And then I think the night before the rules dropped, I actually went into Photoshop and designed the title card. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, we could call it Bad Dog, and I was starting to get excited then. Yeah. Right, and so then the next day when the rules dropped, I got the trope through raw effort, anything is possible. Okay. And I was like, well, this is perfect because I had no really plot in mind. I just had, like the opening the night before. But I was like, what if the whole film I'm trying to make him a good dog? Okay. There you go. That fits kind of what I'm trying to do here. So I just kind of ran with that. Yeah. So what made you, now at the end of the movie, like clearly you failed. So why'd you end up doing that as opposed to being successful and rescuing Chuckles from his demonic possession? Well, whenever I make, honestly, the first 3 years, it's a good question. Like, I start with the ending in mind. Okay. Right? And in this case, I kind of started with the beginning, I guess, a little bit. But when I really started to sit down that weekend after the rules dropped and like just thinking through it, I always want to leave the audience with a like mouth open sort of moment. Okay. I think that's the best way to leave an audience. That's fair. Is because it gets people talking beyond the film. And and so that for me, I was like, well, I was gonna have tentacles come out of them, which that was going to be like the moment. Okay. And if you look at like Rotten Roommate, that's what I did like with that was like the first thing I came up with, like Chuckles' eyes turning red at the end. Like that was, so I was like, let's just kind of do like a similar thing, but have them grow tentacles. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, no, I need more content than that, and so I kind of weave the tentacle thing in through the whole film. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well now I need something even more intense than that, which is when I came up with like him talking. Gotcha. So it was like a shock and then an extra shock. Yeah. It's kind of the way. I love that clip of him saying "bad dog" at the end. Which is Landers. Is it? Okay. It's a little, I like added some like modulation. I don't know if you can tell. It's like 2 words. Yeah. But. So Landers was in, well, he was in a couple of ways because he was in Matt's film as well last year. So yeah. Do you think he's going to show up for this year? I know he's really busy. Well, I guess we'll know by this point, maybe. By the time this podcast comes out, maybe. Probably by the time this comes out, we might know. I've been texting with him a little bit. I haven't talked too much about Party Room with him, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, we will see. We will see.
Cool. So you came up with it. Now, do you think there's a continuation? Will you make a third sequel?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I say that, but like, who knows, right?
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I'm all about. I want to continue to discover some new paths in what we can do.
Okay.
Cell phone.
Yeah.
And telling a story with friends, and so, I've been thinking through a lot of ideas, and so for me to return to that, I guess, is I don't know if I will.
Yeah.
I think I mean, maybe eventually. I don't want to close that door, but I don't even know what it would be. I would have to come up with a really good idea.
Yeah. If you had the right idea, maybe. But right now, it's you're more interested in doing something new. So do you have any ideas for this year, or are you wait until the rules drop?
I'm kind of waiting until the rules drop. I mean, I have a couple snippets of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I'm just gonna kind of see where it takes me. Do you have any ideas?
That's kind of where I'm at too. I had an idea that I was gonna like at the beginning of the year. I had an idea, and I mentioned this I think on a couple podcasts. But it like one of the opening shots I was gonna shoot in January, like when my parents had a blizzard or something. They never got enough snow for long enough for me to go up and like actually shoot the shot that I really wanted to, because basically it was going to be like a shot of like me as like with my beard grown out like as much as I could, because I let it grow out all like through Christmas and stuff.
Specifically for this one shot.
Specifically for this one shot. And I never got to do it, but like go like full wild man, like trudging through snow, and then like a shot of like at a campfire, and that was gonna be like the opening sequence was that.
Okay.
And then it would lead into stuff that I shot in the summer.
Yep.
But like all of that was very dependent on that opening, and so like my whole idea was dependent on that opening, and so when that didn't happen, I was like, well, I don't really want to do that now, because it's not going to be as epic as I want it to be.
Sure.
And so since then, I've basically not been thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm once the rules drop, I'm gonna think about it and mull it over and come up with something. I do have two ideas that are actually old sketch ideas that a buddy of mine and I came up with like before Asbury.
Okay.
That could be really funny, and one of them might like would involve Mitchell in an important role, and actually August.
Okay.
Because so we had the idea back when my sister had just had her first kid. Mm-hmm. And my best friend back home and I are good friends with her husband, and so we had come up with this like just stupid silly idea, and it needed a baby, and so we're like, okay, because of that was the time. So like, oh hey, there's a couple babies in party room now.
Yep.
So Mitchell, I might be calling you to borrow August for something.
Yeah.
So
I know by now.
we'll see. That might be like, it'd be like a 2-minute short, but I might like expand on the idea and make it something more intensive. But
we need more shorts.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like, the variety that shorts bring.
Yeah.
I say that, but I have no idea if I'll make it short or not.
Who knows?
I think we were talking a little bit before we started filming, and I listened to the Trevor podcast.
Yeah.
About like what made Party Room 3 so memorable compared to like 4. Not that 4 was bad.
Yeah.
But like we just sometimes remember certain films more. I mean, Year 4 was great.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it a lot, and I was looking through the YouTube channel, and I saw McGlone came out with his, where he was the Beast and he was eating the gummy bears.
Yeah.
Which was a completely new concept, right? Completely new. Like we had never seen that in the Party Room universe. Landers was traveling through the films.
Yeah.
Completely new concept.
Yeah.
At the time, that was before the Great.
That was such a that came out of nowhere. And like the way he tied that together, and using his own clip that he gave. Who did he give the clip to?
I think it was Mitchell. Was it
Mitchell, yeah, he gave a clip to Mitchell and then tied that into his own film and then tied it back to Mitchell's film.
Yep.
Like in such a perfect way. It was hilarious and just like out of nowhere just fit so well.
Yeah. And then there was a couple others. I forget what they are on the top of my head. Like the Ultimate or the Greatest Showdown or something like Josiah did.
Yeah.
Like I thought that concept was completely new. Like, because a lot of us had been doing like stories with like beginning, middle, and ends. That's fairly, and to see these like completely new ideas, I think that is what brings out the greatness of a year.
Yeah.
And so when to answer your question a little bit about like, do you have any ideas? I thought to myself, let me think of how to use the phone in a new way. They make harnesses that you can strap in a phone on your chest. You could do a first person,
kind of like a GoPro kind of thing.
Point of view. You could sit in your car and get a projector screen and project roads passing by, and sit in your car and you can do that. That's and you could do. You could get a little miniature car, like a Hot Wheels, and you could put it in front of your computer screen and like do like a fake burning out sequence or something, like a chase scene. And I started getting into this like mindset of like, what are just like some brand new things I can approach Party Room with. Yeah. Because I think that's what makes a great year is incorporating things we've never seen.
No, I think that's a really good way to go about it, and yeah, I think that there are things we can do with the phone and figuring out ways to do more. I'm honestly, part of me is surprised that you've not done an animated film yet.
Yeah, I should.
And so like figuring out how to do something like that, I've thought a little bit about doing like a stop motion animation or something like that with a phone, because there's apps that can help you do that on the phone.
I like that line of thinking.
And I mean, honestly, like the closest we've had to that is really Paul's film this past year. With the song sequence is kind of almost a stop motion kind of film.
That's true. Another great example.
With a like a interesting filter on it to make it more almost painted look. I don't know exactly how to describe the filter that he put on that. But yeah, I think that there is a lot more that we can do. I mean, also like phones just keep getting better every year, which is wild. Like, I mean, Pegged is like and Andrew laughs at the fact that I keep singing his praises on the podcast, but I just loved Pegged,
great.
and just I love like how visually like crisp it just looks great. Like he worked very hard on the visuals for Pegged and making it look and be cohesive, in addition to the editing to make sure everything lined up and had a really good visual style to it that like stayed consistent throughout this the movie.
He could submit that for film festival probably outside of.
Oh yeah, I think he absolutely could. Like as is, he's talked about like potentially reshooting it or something on a cinema camera or something, just to like make it all really crisp. Because I mean, with the like cinema mode on the iPhones, you can see some of the like artificial bokeh that it does, and that's a little bit jittery at times. But no, I mean, I think that we can keep pushing things more. I love the chaos of it. I love like I want to do more of the. I'm happy to see more of the Trevor chaos in everybody's stuff, but I also like I love the idea of like, okay, like let's see how far we can push this, how good can we really be. And so for me, I love approaching it as an opportunity to like let loose creatively, but like still strive for like a point of excellence that just is like, I want to make this look as good as I can, because that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
So
I kind of have a slightly different approach. I will say, like, I don't think visually my films have looked that great. they've been fairly messy film wise.
The bear looks pretty real.
Yeah. And is Caitlin has helped me. It's no fault to her. Like we film them like just quick and that takes good. But my approach is it's a stupid, silly,
made up film festival
thing,
as Andrew says.
But but also like I want to try to make my stories in a way, and I especially feel this with like Bad Dog, where it's like, yes, it's stupid. Yes, it's, the shots aren't that pretty. It's not that cinematic of a film. But when you drill down into it, the story's actually fairly decent. Like it kind of has a good, and so that's the way I like to approach it. Like, I have like the initial like Chuckles like flushes the toilet, and you don't see what it is. So,
it has decent pacing,
right?
It goes through like you don't know what's going on. You start discovering more and more.
You
what's
see
going
the shadow.
On. You see the shadow,
and then you see the tentacles.
You hear the voice when Levi holds him to his ear, and things like it's like, okay, what is inside this thing? Yeah. No,
so
I think it
very loosely it follows what would make a traditional good film like kind of act structure.
Yeah.
But it's also a stupid film. So that's the way I approach, or have been, although this year I might mix it up a little bit. But because some of my favorite films, like the ones I laugh the hardest at, to be completely honest, are like La Plumier. I was dying when Matt was on his knees. I was literally, it's the hardest I've ever laughed at a party room film. And I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea until I listened to Trevor's podcast that it was like an opening title sequence.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all from that film.
What he should have done is he should have just added like, throughout the whole thing, he should have put like what would be in an opening title sequence, so like names and stuff like
sure,
but it's just every single one is just Trevor Smith.
yeah each name's Trevor Smith, and so like I love that
that would have sold it a little bit more, but that's also a lot more like editing than Trevor Smith is probably willing or capable of doing.
And then I also rewatched Great Dewey Heist, which I was actually in, and I was laughing so hard at that. It's unfinished, but I loved it.
Oh yeah, I watched it again.
Held my attention.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, in all honesty, like the opening scenes of that film look great. Like Matt has such a good eye for cinematography, and like the lighting and his use of colors in some of those opening scenes with Levi at the computer and stuff like that. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm so sad that he got so busy and wasn't able to finish it, because I'm sure that would have been a really, really fun one to see in entirety. I would have loved to see all the different movies that they went to. I loved his idea of like,
because we filmed a lot more.
Yeah,
I remember
them going to like a couple movies that haven't been made yet.
Yeah,
like I love that idea, and adding to the metaverse of.
I think Matt's a genius, because also like even I know it was undone, I know it was unfinished, but I even think in the unfinished version, like just like the random cuts to like, I'm like, I think there's a cut in there where it's like you see the green screen around me, and I'm just like, is that what you wanted or something? And then like it continues on, and I'm like in the door frame, and like the dude can do Bargain Batman, and he can make that the Great Dewey Heist, and I think both are genius.
Yeah. I love Bargain Batman. I would love to see him make a sequel of that. Like if I was going to pick any Matt film for him to make a sequel of, I'd love to see a sequel to Bargain Batman in some way.
This could be the year.
Because I think that one's so good. Who did? My Heather showed my mother-in-law Bargain Batman.
Okay, sure.
She just loved it. She thought it was amazing. She was like, this is so much fun.
I know. That's great.
Yeah. But I think Bargain Batman is so good. I'm excited. I'm always excited to see what Matt comes up with.
He should make a sequel. Matt, I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but if you
do you think this is the sequel year? Do you think we'll get ordered to make a sequel?
Oh gosh, what would I even do? Maybe. That's actually an interesting spot. I don't know. I don't think so, because
that might be a little bit too restrictive.
You're right.
I could see it. What I think would be fun is if we were allowed to make a sequel to any party room film with permission.
Okay. Oh my gosh, yeah, because is that the Jacob McGlone rule now? You have to get permission?
Yeah.
He messaged me and was like, you know, can I steal your title or something? And I said no.
And so he did it anyway.
And then he's like, well, what if I say like how not to? And I was like, you know what? I think I agreed. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But that's what he did. And then I had no idea about the poster, which was my cut off head. Yeah. And I know we squashed the beef in Rex Moriendum,
yep.
Which we filmed right here in my living room.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I was so sick when I was filming that with him.
Oh, no.
I had food poisoning. I went to this sushi place in Nicholasville, Kentucky, the day before, or 2 days before or something. I was down there, and I got so sick. I guess Nicholasville is not a great place to get sushi.
It's pretty landlocked. I wouldn't recommend it.
And so I remember the night before he was supposed to come up here, and I texted him and I was like, dude, I'm like throwing up so bad. And I was like, I'm going to try to power through. But I knew we had fight moves.
Yeah.
Right? And so I powered through that film day.
Well, I couldn't tell last time I watched that one. I thought you did a great job. That's one that, like, again, like, Jacob, like, he didn't go to film school with us.
Right.
Like, he wasn't a film student.
It's good.
He does a great job.
Had a 3D Nerf bullet.
Right. And even, like, I know he doesn't like it, but, like, as you said, How Not to Find Food in the Wild, the beast, just absolute comedy gold and just genius coming out of that movie.
Exactly. Like, and I'll show you too.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, look how thick my wallet is.
Oh my gosh, buddy.
Yeah. A lot of receipts. Right there. I don't know if the camera can see that. I don't know if you can zoom in.
I probably can.
It says friends, not enemies, and it's a picture of McGlone. I've been carrying that in my wallet for 3 months. Just in case, the off chance I saw him and he like brought up our beef. Yeah. I could show him.
That's amazing. I love that. So do you have any beef with anyone for this year, do you think?
I don't think so.
Is there anyone you want to work with this year? That you haven't gotten a chance to work with yet?
Yeah, I'd love to work with all the guys. I think each guy brings something unique to the festival. I had recently rewatched them all, and like I love like Josiah's storytelling. I think he's a great storyteller.
Yeah. Perfect is so good.
Loved it. The ending with the s'mores like thing.
Yep.
I was like, that's similar to how I think about stories. So I think he's a great storyteller. Tanner, I'd love to be in a Book of Light or something. I think that would be awesome.
This should be the last year of it.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, according to
the prequels.
He's got ideas for prequels, but he's like, I'm gonna take a break for a little bit from that. I think so because he said I think on our podcast, or at least to me later, he was like, I love it, but I also feel like a little stuck. Yeah, because like by doing that, he's like, okay, I have to finish it off.
Well, that'd be perfect if we had to do a sequel.
Yeah,
but also honestly, just like. Bad Dog was actually the first film that I filmed with other nerd guys.
Okay, yeah.
Because like Lander sent me a clip for Rotten Roommate, right? Yeah. But I needed literally the whole idea behind Rotten Roommate is like I can't just be alone. Like it's got it. So I just grabbed my dog. Yeah. Right. Because like we were, I'm in Indianapolis and I was super busy that summer. And then the next year, How to Find Food is like just me, and I even like animate like a Mitchell thing. It's not even real Mitchell. So Bad Dog was really the first year I actually filmed like with McGlone and with Levi, but it was fairly small scenes. Yeah. So it wasn't much. So to answer your question, whoever I work with, I would want to like do a film from like beginning, middle, and end. Gotcha. With an actor, a nerd guy. Yeah, multiple nerd people. I think that'd be fun. That'd
be fun. I agree with you there. Like I had, I was very briefly in Josiah's, and it was just that one scene, and then worked with Zach for just the beginning of Forgotten Things, and so like, but yeah, working with someone like some of the other guys do that are, I mean, in Lexington where it's easier for them to coordinate, but working with them for like an entire film and a couple of shoots, or I mean even just one long shoot, like would be a lot of fun to do that. So I'm hoping I might be able to do that.
I
this
also
year too.
think I don't know if Landers is doing it or not this year, but like just simply like being with Landers and Levi and just coming up with something, even if we just show up and we're like, let's just come up with something on the spot, I think would be hilarious.
Yep.
Just the energy.
Do the Trevor method.
Yeah, the Trevor method.
No ideas until it's,
I mean,
it's day.
I definitely like show up like when I'm filming these and I'm just like, you know, Caitlin will say a random idea or just think of something randomly dumb on the spot. And I'm just like, oh, that makes me laugh. And if it makes me laugh on the spot, I usually just throw it in there.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the last couple, like my last two films have been kind of inspired by like, I'll often end up coming up with like a single visual that I like, okay, I like that visual. And so then start to build off that. So like for Rotten Doppel, it was the like two me's in the like void. Originally I was going to do that differently, and I was like, I really wanted to try shooting that underwater and like having us like facing each other and like floating in a void. But I was like, I don't know how the heck I'm going to do that.
That's tough. That's ambitious. That's what we need though. That's what PRFFP needs.
But so like that was my that was the first visual idea that I had for that, and then like me killing myself and you know through the whole thing. And then for this past year, the shot of the computer head guy walking down the tunnel, just like I walked past that tunnel, and just like I loved how like I loved the symmetry of it, and like especially at night, like it's dark at both ends, but it's lit in the tunnel, and so like that was just like had inspired me to like some of those ideas, and then that ended up started spiraling because I had that old computer, and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. And
I like the tunnel. I like the tunnel. I like using original locations.
Yes.
I think locations go a long way, and I also think we can dive a whole lot more into like wardrobe. I mean, I know there was a couple of films that did that.
Bargain Batman obviously
Bargain Batman and stuff.
Costume.
But I mean,
I think locations is something that like as we move forward, that's a fairly easy way to bring the level up. Is even finding like locations that like we have easy access to, like in our house or something like that, or like I mean Zach has had great locations because of his various property. But like I think locations is something that like going ahead and doing that step forward will add a lot, because then it's not just our houses every year.
Right. It adds a lot of visual interest. It makes the films more memorable.
I mean, heck, Matt did. You guys shot a little bit in Dollar General, didn't you? Or
yeah,
was that all green screen?
I wasn't actually there that day, but they did shoot in Dollar General. I think it was Levi and Matt. I wasn't there for that specific shoot day. But yeah, you remember the film because that's the Dollar General. Yeah, Wilmore Dollar General.
That's the Wilmore Dollar General. I'll never forget that place.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so I think locations is as you said a good way to bring things up again, and yeah, more inspiration, more opportunities.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah. Is there any location? I mean, heck, we've had a couple cool locations because like I shot a little bit when we were in Tokyo for the Olympics.
Yep, that's true. That's true. And Israel? Yeah,
Tanner had a shot in Israel. I met the guy who does the backflip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's his boss at the church that he works for, and so that's the guy who helped me surprise him back in January. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I think that we can do some cool things with locations for sure.
Yeah, and I always want to like push myself. Like, I have such a like film, I think, storytelling mind where like I'm always like I need a beginning, middle, and end. But with Party Room, I'm trying to challenge myself to be a little bit more like things can be a little bit off the wall. I if it's a skit, like I don't need to explain all this backstory. Like it could be a skit, or it could be something. Maybe we get zero backstory. So I'm playing around with some of those ideas as well.
No, I think that's not having all of the backstory is, I think, okay. And making it, sometimes it doesn't need, you don't need that, and letting people kind of create their own lore around it is okay too. I think that's something that Trevor does very well.
Yep.
Because I mean, I don't think he knows what the backstory is all the time.
I need to harness his. I'm just gonna play La Plumier like on loop for the next 24 hours until the rules video drops to just get inspired.
Just get inspired.
Just get hypnotized.
Just play all of Trevor's films.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Loop. It was really interesting seeing him. I mean, Trevor too. I mean, along with McGlone, like doesn't have a background in video, and I mean that doesn't hold him back at all.
No.
And like especially like the photophoria year was really fun. I mean, him and I'm sure he and Paul had a lot of fun putting those together. But I mean, even that, like it definitely is a very different kind of film than Paul's version of it. But it's still, I mean, it tells a good story. It makes sense, and it follows its own rules. And so like it does a good job of, like as you said, like they're done in really quirky, stupid ways for a fake film festival.
Sure.
But like they're not bad concepts a lot of times.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that I think is what really makes Party Room a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think
maybe someone will get inspired listening to this like halfway through the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that is a good idea.
Mitchell,
or maybe not.
Mitchell, I'm talking directly to you right now. If by the time this comes out, you are not started on something, I don't know.
You can make Obligation 2.
Yeah, make
Throw another
Obligation
expensive
2.
camera down the steps.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, let's not encourage that.
No. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode of the Party Room Film Festival podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we've been hanging out with our family.
How do I do with the mic?
That worked. I don't know.
Thanks, man.